So excited to bring to you today, Vicky McGrath. We're going to talk about create a life that you love using your intuition. Welcome, Vicky.
Oh, thank you so much, Lindsay. It is so great to be here. And I hope together we can help your listeners learn to trust their gut and create a life they love.
I am so excited about this topic. It's kind of one of those topics that sometimes we skate around. A lot of times we talk about intuition or trusting your gut, but to have a whole focus on it, I am pumped to take this deep dive and really understand where you have built a passion around it. And I don't know where to start first. Let's just, before we go into your journey, let's take that word intuition and just give us a deeper meaning behind this, or like where your head goes with it.
So I use intuition as the guidance that we get through our senses, really. So I break it down into what we would call the clairs. So the main four clairs are clairvoyance, which is when you get pictures dropping into your mind. So you get a picture of something and you kind of have a sense of how something's going to turn out based on the picture that drops into your mind. There's claircognizance, where you just suddenly know things that you wouldn't otherwise know, or that you shouldn't know, or that you've never been taught, but something just pops into your mind and you know something very strongly. Clairsentience, where you get a feeling about something. That's the trust your gut and follow your heart, right? That's the clairsentience, where we get a feeling that this is the right way to go, or I need to choose this path and not that path. So that's clairsentience, when we really get that feeling about things. And then there's clairaudience, where you get this voice or message internally. It's not in your mind, but it's guidance nonetheless. And it just drops in there and says very quickly, no, yes or no, or whatever guidance you might be seeking at that time, or not even seeking. So that's kind of how I break down intuition. I break it down into these sort of four main clairs, where the information comes in and you don't have really any control over when that's coming in or why it's coming in, but you need to trust that when it comes in, that the information is guiding you on your true path. It's the guidance of your heart. And that's where I think intuition could be construed as woo-woo, or it could be construed as more of a spiritual thing. But the way I like to look at it is that we can use our intuition to create any aspect of the life we want to live. And that can be, for me, I use it primarily to really help middle-aged, midlife women like myself to create a life they love through the business or career side of things. So that's my passion. My passion is kind of business, entrepreneurial side of things, or corporate side of things, or whatever the case may be. But that's kind of where I land in the niche of intuition. Is I really like to help mid-career women create a life they love in their business.
That's really interesting, because my brain is going everywhere with this. Within the business, let's just stay entrepreneurial for a minute. Do you find yourself a lot in helping people with like branding within that? Because I'll give you my example. As a dietitian, I feel like there's so many different areas that I could go. And my intuition of this space I feel really comfy and good in is accountability, which falls into my nutrition background, but it doesn't land there. Like, do you notice that a lot with your clients, that you're really helping them take what they know, but that intuition piece helps with like the passion behind it, the love behind it?
So I usually go through kind of a 3-step process with my clients. And the first step is actually mindset. And this is something that maybe doesn't always occur to people, but we have these automatic thoughts that run through our mind. I know you've talked to other guests and had this same kind of information on your podcast, but mindset is really those subconscious beliefs that were programmed from childhood, from our parents, from society, from our friends, from our jobs, from our bosses. All of this programming goes into our subconscious mind by people who have no idea what they're doing. And we are left to have these repetitive thoughts that are not even ours. And that's how we form the basis of our thinking. So you might have a negative thought pattern about yourself where you don't trust your intuition, you don't trust your gut, you don't follow your heart because you've heard that you shouldn't go that way, or that good girls stay quiet, or don't speak up, or don't be too loud, don't bring attention to yourself, whatever you might have heard. So my first step is to help my clients look at what are the repetitive thoughts that are ruling their life currently, and maybe holding them back from doing the things that they really love in life. And then once you understand, then you can start to replace those repetitive thoughts with a better thought, a more soothing thought, a more helpful thought. So it could be just really general, like everything is going my way. Everything is always working out for me. Everything is unfolding perfectly. Everything is unfolding in perfect timing, right? So you just start to soothe yourself and you replace the repetitive unconscious thoughts with conscious thoughts. And that is when you start to understand that you actually can create your own life just by replacing unconscious, subconscious thoughts that are not yours with conscious thoughts. And then once you've done that for a while and you start to get good at that, then you build them up. And then you build up into a mantra where you've got an idea of where you want to go and you start building that mantra into your life. Right? Building my business is so easy. Finding clients is so easy. Learning to change my thoughts is so easy. Like then you just start moving forward that way. And so a few things happen once you start to realize that A, most of your thoughts are not your own. And B, you can replace those thoughts with better thoughts. Is that you start to feel happier. And funnily enough, when that starts to happen, then you open up to new ideas. New thoughts start coming in when you start to feel happier. You suddenly see new possibilities. People come into your life that you didn't realize could be helpful to you. Ideas, inspiration, and that's your intuition starting to open up. And so that's your second step is, first of all, you change your mindset, you build up your happiness, you open your heart a little bit, then you start to get inspiration. You start to see how your intuition comes in. Your intuition might come in through one of the clairs, right? That might be the strongest way. So suddenly you start getting pictures in your mind, or coincidences or synchronicities start popping up. And then once you understand how your intuition comes in and starts to build, then you can choose, okay, so how then can I use my intuition to create the things that I want in my life? And then that's when you start getting into that process of you create a dream for yourself, you create a plan, you're grateful, you take action, and then you just repeat, review and repeat. That's kind of the steps that I would take my clients through. But it starts with understanding your subconscious or unconscious beliefs and thoughts and habits. And so to get to your question about how would you choose, your niche, that's when you start to understand, okay, this feels good for me. This feels right. These ideas open up all of these other possibilities. All these other ideas start coming up for me when I think about this one. But this one, if I think about it, it actually really doesn't interest me. So I use myself as an example. When I started to think about how I could best help my clients, everybody has a health journey. Everyone has a family journey. Everyone has a million things that they could talk about. But for me, my passion is helping women, especially women, really move into a place where they can create a life they live in a business. So it might be that they're in a job, maybe they've plateaued, maybe they're in a place where they're at a point and they need to change jobs. They're feeling that where they're at isn't really fulfilling anymore. And so how can you use that place where you are to then create your next steps that's based on, the intuition that you receive, the strengths that you have in your intuition, and then create life from there. And so for me, using business was kind of how I created my niche, a client niche, and using your intuition. So for you, if that's what, your heart tells you, if your heart says accountability brings all these things in my mind, it really lights me up. It makes me excited. And I can think of all of the possibilities and it gets me really excited, then that's the way to go.
Yes, I love just sitting back and listening to you because all of a sudden, like a process comes into mind. There's a plan. There's this, I think a lot of us get just all caught up in our head and everything's floating up here. And this is something I love to do with my clients too, is we just kind of pull those ideas down. We get them laid out. There becomes this process. So I think you do a really nice job of displaying that there is a plan. We can help you with this, which kind of goes into your book. Can you tell us about your book?
So my book is in rough draft at the moment. I hope that it'll be ready to go this year, but I am also developing an online course around it as well to just kind of, open it up to more people. But the book will definitely be this, guidebook for midlife women to create a life they love through exactly this process, right? It'll be a step-by-step, change your mindset, open and understand your gifts, create the life you love based on what you get from your gifts. Once we start to get to the point where we're a conscious creator of our life, that's when you start to use that 5-part framework, which is dream. So most of the time, I'm included, right? A year ago, I was still embarrassed to think about what were my wildest dreams. So what did I really want to do with my life? And now it's just so exciting to think about it. All of the great things that come in when you start to think about it. So when you get to the point where you've changed your mind a little bit, you understand your mindset, you've started to pump in those good thoughts, you've opened up to your intuition, you start to get those great ideas, and then you can start creating your life. That's when really just really dream. What do you want to do? You, not what your family wants, not what your job wants, none of those things, you. And we are really not ever given the ability or the right to dream for ourselves. And so this is a really creative process. So then once you've dreamt your big dream, then you can create a plan. Okay, so how do we then take step by step? What are the things that you would like to do with that dream? And then built into the mindset and the getting happier is gratitude. So there's a big chunk of gratitude as part of my book. And then we start to learn how to take action. It just be baby steps, right? Maybe we're just taking baby steps at first, but then every action you take, it builds, it opens up more doors, more circumstances, more people, more ideas come in every time we take a little baby step. And then that's the rinse and repeat and review, right? You just keep saying, okay, this is moving me forward. This is moving me forward. And that's how my book really is going to be laid out. It's going to be that step by step, right? We'll start with this because this is where everybody wants to know that they can create a life they live. They want to be able to change out those subconscious beliefs and say, you know what, Mom? Get out of my head. I don't need you anymore, right? Yeah, you were helpful when I was a kid. Okay, you kept me safe, but now I don't really need to know that anymore. And you just move on. You replace it with something else, right? Something empowering, something inspiring. And so that's really how my book will be laid out and my online course as well.
Wonderful. And I wonder if I can totally put you on the spot here and give you a case study type thinking. And if this doesn't fit into your normal clientele, then create your own. But because I see this a lot in my community, because I have a lot of moms/grandmas even, and people who are retiring and they're young still and wanting that next phase of life of excitement and passion and feeling purposeful. And so if we just took that woman who has retired from the career that she had to do or worked within that phase of her life, and now all of a sudden there's all this space, but they still want freedom. That person going through this, even when you start to talk about dream big, I automatically go, I wonder if you ever struggle with your clients dreaming big enough, because they probably already put those barriers behind. Yes, I'd love to do that, but like, is there a lot of growth work around the but, I want it, but I have all these reasons why I never can see that being me.
And that's for sure, right? That's exactly it. Right now, it is the most exciting time to be alive, as far as I'm concerned, because you know what? Doesn't matter how old you are, there's something fantastic you can do. So, if you've retired from your long-term career, but you've always been so inspired to do something creative, then that's where you start, right? Start thinking about, okay, so how am I currently holding myself back? What are my repetitive thoughts that are holding me back? What is that but, right? So then just give it some conscious thought. Just think about your thoughts. Really think about your thoughts all day long for a couple of days, right? Just see what keeps popping up. And if it keeps popping up, you're supposed to be a mom now. You're supposed to be a grandma now. You're supposed to be retiring now. And just challenge that. Well, who thought that? Like who really thought that? That's society telling me what I should be doing. And frankly, that doesn't work for me. So what's a better thought? I can do, be, or have anything I want in this life. That's never too late and I'm never too old, right? So you just come up with different thoughts. Just come up with different thoughts. And then from that, it's exactly the same process. If there's something that is exciting to you, something that you really want to create, but you've set it aside or thought that it was silly or whatever, just start building up your thoughts around it. I can do this. I can totally do this. I know I can do this. Everything is working out for me. I can totally see this happening for me. This is happening. Right? So you just start building up. Just start building up those positive ideas, those positive thoughts. And in fact, try, if you can, to replace every single thought that comes into your mind with those thoughts. Just completely ignore everything else that comes in. Just constantly churn in your mind. Churn. Everything is working out for me. Everything is working out for me. Everything is working out perfectly for me. And that is how it starts. And that's how you soothe yourself. You start to feel better. And then inspiration, ideas, intuition comes in and starts to open you up to that creative potential. And in fact, I have a really fun, just to kind of throw in an idea here for your listeners, I have a really fun visualization that I'd be happy to share with them that they can get on my website. And that's just starting the creative process. It's just, I think it's like 3 minutes. It's so brief, but it's really fun. And it just helps to kind of open the creative process because the creativity is the pathway of intuition. And you can't have your intuition come through and you can't learn to see how it comes out in your life if you're not feeling creative and inspired and empowered. And so that's where the mindset piece comes in, right? You change the mind, change the thoughts, then you start to feel excited and inspired and empowered. And that's how you can then take baby steps, right? So if if a client wants to do something different, maybe they want to do an online course, maybe they want to write a book, maybe they want to teach people how to knit or play the ukulele, but there's no end to what, can come after that, right? So start there. What do you teach your grandchild how to play the ukulele first? And then maybe you create a video and put it online, right? It's so easy, just baby steps, baby steps.
What about the person who goes, I have no idea. I know that there's more for me, but literally I have gotten to this point where I don't even really know what I'm getting excited about or what's an exercise you take those individuals through?
Well, that's the programmed mind, right? That is the programmed mind. The programmed mind has somehow beaten them down to thinking that there's nothing that they need to do or want to do in their life. And that's where changing your beliefs, your mindset, your thoughts is critical. That's the first step. It's got to be the first step. That's why you have to really, it's a hard process. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. I have, seasonal affective disorder. Here I live in Ontario, Canada, where we have, 7 months of winter. But, every year I would just feel more and more down as the winter progressed. And, I would really think to myself, oh gosh, I need a vacation. Right. But now after like this winter, I wake up and I go through my process every morning. I wake up, my alarm goes off. I wake up and I go through my gratitude practice. I just immediately fill my mind with my gratitude practice. I don't do anything else. I fill my mind with my gratitude practice. And then I ask for guidance for the day. And then I get up, right? And then I'm repeating in my mind all of my positive mantras all day long, right? And then I'm opening up to what guidance comes through. So it's everybody has to work at it. It's a decision you make. You choose to be a conscious creator, right? You choose to create a vibration of gratitude, a frequency of happiness, right? You have to choose it. You have lived in by default your whole life. You've got these default things running through your mind, these default emotions running through your body that are somebody else's program. And again, I say, you have no idea who programmed your mind, and whoever it was, they had no idea what they were doing. They were running the program that they had from their parents, and the parents, they were running the program that they had from their parents. So we're talking 200, 300, 400 plus years of irrelevant data that's filling us up. So all of that suppression and all of that programming, that's why you need to start with mindset. That's the key. So all of those people who maybe don't have any inspiration, just start replacing your thoughts. That's the first step.
I'm loving this. And I'm picturing within your course or within your book, journaling type pages, because every time we replace a thought, it would be helpful to know like what we're aiming towards, right? Or if we're trying to figure out that next passion, as little things pop into your mind, just getting them down. 100%. Do you really encourage a lot of that? Mm-hmm.
That's definitely part of the process for sure, 100%. And there's so many different ways that you can use a journal. People think, oh, that's childish, or what's that going to do for me? But really that is part of your conscious creation, right? Is that you start to put down on paper, and that's giving yourself permission to create that. That's key for sure, is journaling.
All right. Where were we? So we had dream within our client, create, gratitude. I guess we kind of went through it, but the action piece, maybe we would still be talking about for that person, again, trying to create this next phase of their life. Give us some examples of action steps.
Right. So action is really just what comes through your intuition, right? So what are you guided to do? And how that will turn up for you is you'll meet someone, or you'll be, flipping through your Facebook page and something will pop up for you. You'll see a book on your shelf and you'll think, oh, maybe I should read that book again. Or, hey, I never read that book, right? And that's really kind of the process that happened for me, is that I was heading into winter. I was feeling pretty down, and I knew that what was ahead was more down. And I thought, I have got to do something about this. This is not okay anymore. I can't go through another winter feeling depressed and anxious, because I live in Ontario. There's no getting away with it. I happened to notice on my bookshelf a book that I already had, that I'd actually never read. And it was called Train Your Brain by Dana Wilde. And she's a mindset trainer. She's a brain trainer. And that's how it started. And so that's how it will start for everyone. As soon as you start to think differently, as soon as you start to create your own thoughts, these things will pop up for you. And that's the first action step, is working with what comes up. You don't force anything. You don't create anything. If you create something in your mind, it's because something felt good and you wanted to do it, right? So that's how the intuition comes in. The intuition comes in and kind of pokes you this way, or maybe prods you that way, or says, maybe you should go talk to your friend Joanne today. Maybe she'll be able to help you with your ukulele, or whatever the case may be. So this is the key, is the action steps only come when you feel good and you're excited and inspired and you want to do something about it. And that's the key piece. So you're not taking action for action's sake. You're not going out there, do, because that's what you've been programmed to do, right? That's what we're programmed to do. We're programmed to just take action, just get going. But that's not what I'm advocating. What I'm advocating is that you act when you feel good and excited and inspired to act.
Okay. And then the next phase of that is the review part of that. So kind of assess and the rinse and repeat. Walk us through an example with that as well.
For example, I had a client who was inspired to go to Sedona. And, she really wasn't sure why she was going to Sedona. She just felt inspired to go to Sedona. And then after really kind of planning it out and thinking about what she wanted to do, I don't know whether you're familiar with, there's a number of sacred spaces across the planet. And there's a set of sacred vortexes in Sedona. And that's what came to her, was that she wanted to go and see the vortexes of Sedona. And so that was the action, right? That, she knew she wanted to go to Sedona. She didn't know why. She decided to let the process of planning for Sedona guide her. And that's what popped out for her, was that she wanted to see the vortexes. So then that's a completed action. So then you go, you see the vortexes, and that informs your next steps in life. So that's the review and repeat and rinse. So then what comes up after that? What's the next baby step? And that's just how it goes. So then the next baby step is, what do you take action from having gone and had that fulfilling experience in your life? Is there something that comes out of that experience that informs your next step, or that takes you on your next action step right away? Or maybe it takes time and you have to think about it. And that's where that journaling piece really kind of helps as well. And also, when you're in your big dream state, you come up with a whole bunch of ideas. So then maybe the next idea is what you take on. So then the next action is based on, what's the next inspiration based on what you've been dreaming about? Is there something inspiring or empowering you to move forward based on what your big dreams were? So it's just an ongoing process. And then, of course, throughout everything, you're going to find that what you thought you'd taken care of in your thought process is still going to come up, and something new is going to challenge you, and a new idea or a new program that was kind of dormant before, but now you're taking bigger steps and getting more excited and taking more action. And that, programming is going to say, hey, what? I don't like this too much. This is getting a little too crazy. I'm getting a little wild here. I don't like it. I want to stay in my little box. And so then you're going to have those thoughts pop up, and you're going to say, okay, what do I need to work on today to change those thoughts or replace those thoughts? And so it's an ongoing, that's why I say rinse and repeat. It's an ongoing process, right? And every day you're choosing your vibration, you're choosing your mindset, you're choosing where you're going, you're choosing how you're creating your life.
I love that you're highlighting the point of it's ongoing. I definitely want to make sure our listeners are hearing that. The words that are coming to my mind that are barriers for some people are time. Sometimes it takes time. We don't want it to take time. We want it to happen now. And then the whole thought of I think all of us are guilty of wanting to get to this. When I get here, then it'll feel complete. And to your point, you get to that next level, new devil, and you're going to have to work through something. It's not that easy, but you'll get there. And so you have a lot of hope within your process too, which is awesome, but you got to work the program. You have to keep doing that rinse and repeat. What am I not asking you about intuition that you have to give us today?
I would really like to just say, if your listeners are feeling anxious or depressed or isolated, or they're feeling like they're not sure what life has for them, starting with the mindset piece is so key. And I think at first people might resist and say, well, those thoughts are my life. That's how I've lived my life, my whole life. I've always thought those thoughts. But then if you really know in your heart that you can choose something different, then that's the start. The start is to choose, to make the choice. And every single day you have to make that choice. And so, intuition continues to develop. It continues to grow. It continues to show up in new and exciting and inspiring and empowering ways. There's so much depth and hope and richness in your life. And everybody it's just natural to get that guidance from your internal voice. It's just natural. Nobody is special. Nobody is gifted. Maybe somebody receives more voices, or somebody else sees the picture right out in front of their mind and they know exactly how to go for it. But however it is for you, it's perfect. And so just allow yourself to understand your gifts, work with your gifts, and use your gifts as part of your life going forward. And the other thing I'd like to say is that you don't have to tell anybody you're doing this. Everything is happening in your own mind. And so this is something that my clients say to me all the time. Well, I'm getting really good at this, but my husband, he's stuck in his ways, or my mother, she just drives me crazy. And so then you say to yourself, okay, this is all going on in my own mind. I'm creating my own reality. So you just carry on. You don't have to tell anybody what you're doing. You know in your heart, if you feel good, if you feel happy, if you feel hopeful, if you feel inspired, that's all that matters. And you take action from that place. Never mind what anyone else is doing. Just take action from that place. And they're on their own journey. They're on their own path. And either they'll be really happy when you get to where you're going, and they'll say, hey, that looks really great. And then maybe they'll want to learn something about it, or they're still on their path, and that's their path.
Which is all the more importance, or the reason why it's important to listen to ourselves, because at the end of the day, it just has to suit us. It doesn't matter if it fits somebody else. Yeah. Where are the best places to find you?
Well, I have a website, vickymcgrath.ca. If anyone is interested in that visualization exercise, they can find it there. And also, if anyone is interested in just signing up to be on my list for my book and online course, then I can keep them apprised on how that's going. And I also have a few mentorships that I'm offering still for the new year. I guess it's still the new year. And so any of your listeners are interested in going through that 3-step process with me, they can find me on my website, and we can learn more together.
Awesome. And all of that will be in the show notes as well. And putting you on the spot one last time, if you could wrap your arms around our listeners, give them that one last bit of, I hope and pray you heard this out of me today. What would that last tidbit be?
I would say change your mind and you can change your life. It's really that easy. There's so much more to it than that, but choose to change your mind and choose to create the life you love. That's the key.
I love this. Thank you for starting my day so amazingly. You're wonderful.
Thank you. Thanks, Lindsay.
All right. Well, we look forward to possibly having you back in the future. And for now,
I would love that.
Thank you.